Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shashank Ranjan, and I welcome you all to the Daily Current Affairs show brought to you by National Defense Institute. The Daily Current Affairs is posted on our Academy's website, www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in. This is the 17th January Current Affairs. National Defense Institute, NDI, is a leading defense institute of India that prepares you for all India Sainik School Entrance Examination, NDA, CDS, CAPF, AFCAT, till the SSB, where we believe in holding your hand till you get those stars on your shoulders and emblem on your hat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin the discussion for the day. So the first news item that we have is Aroma Mission. While observing the first National Startup Day, Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh said that the Purple Revolution is Jammu Kashmir's contribution to Startup India, an initiative that was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2016. The Aroma Mission, launched by Union Ministry of Science and Technology through the CSIR, the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, has led to well-known purple revolution in India. The CSIR had to begin with introduced high-value essential oil-bearing lavender crop through its Jammu-based laboratory. The Indian Institute of Integrative Medicines IIIM for cultivation in districts of Doda, Kishtwar, Rajouri, and later also in other districts, including the Ramban, Pulwama, etc. In addition to Triple IM, CSIR, IHBT, CSIR, CIMAP, CSIR, NBRI, and CSIR, NEIST are also now participating in the Aroma Mission. So basically, what is Aroma Mission? Aroma Mission, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, there uh, Kashmir has a lot of plants that are flower bearing. So almost every grass that you find in Kashmir will be uh, flower bearing. So there will be flowers in almost every grass. So the normal grass that we see around near our house, when you go in Kashmir, you will find each and every grass bears flowers there or different colors. Now we know lavender is a very important crop, given its usage in the deodorants, the room fresheners, the toilet fresheners. You know, lot in the incense sticks that we use for puja. For all those things, lavender is a very important crop. And the blue purple revolution in India is associated with the production of lavender in various different districts in Jammu and Kashmir. Now the production has been increasing with the help of CSIR, which comes under the Ministry of Science and Technology. All right. Next news article that we have is Desh Ke Mentor Program. A controversy recently broke out after National Commission for Protection of Child Rights and NCPCR recommended that the Delhi government suspend its flagship Desh Ke Mentor program till the time when all the loopholes pertaining to safety of children are overhauled. The program was launched in October 2021 and it aimed at connecting students in classes 9th to 12th with the voluntary mentors. The people between the ages of 18 and 35 can sign up to be mentors through an application created by a team at Delhi Technological University, DTU, and will be connected with these students based on mutual interest. The mentorship entails regular phone calls for a minimum of 2 months, which can optionally be carried on for another 4 months. The idea is for the young mentors to guide students through higher education and career options, preparing for higher education entrance exams, and dealing with the pressures of it all. Okay, so basically, this is Desh Ke Mentor is very important program, especially the time when the students are in the age of when they are studying from 9th standard to 12th standard. That is the time when most of the time they have to choose a subject. Now while choosing a subject, it becomes very very important, ladies and gentlemen, that somebody guide them that what kind of subjects should they choose, what is industry later is going to look into for into them, so that uh, the students could make right decision and become industry savvy and become competent enough to get placed into various industries at the later stage of time. So at this stage, they need to be guided. At the same time, it is important that most of the students, they get misguided because of various advertisements shown by various coaching institutes. For example, some coaching institutes saying that, okay, you come prepare for IIT with us, and once you go to prepare for IIT, they ask you not to concentrate more on your boards rather than concentrate on the IIT questions. Prepare for IIT examination, not to prepare for the board. So and all those things happens, and finally those who make into IIT are good, but those who do not make into IIT, there actually the result in the 12th standard itself gets spoiled. So all these things happens. Now, putting all these into perspective, this new program was started where the children will get a kind of a voluntary mentor. Anyone and everyone, whoever wants to mentor these children who are of the age who are between starting between class 9th to 12th, could get guided by those who are between the age of 18 to 35. All right, so it's like that. Now, definitely there would be various loopholes because here, though they can connect with them through phone calls. Now, there could be various loopholes, there could be various gaps that Delhi government might have come out with, and then they asked these loopholes to be, you know, to be plugged. And once the loopholes are plugged, then the Desh Ke Mentor program will be started again. So that's the issue that's going on. Now, next is the BrahMos missile. Now, the first export order of BrahMos supersonic cruise missile system, the Philippines has approved $374.96 million contract for purchase of shore-based anti-ship variant of missile from India, while discussions are going on with some other Southeast Asian countries. So BrahMos, we know, is one of the best missiles system of India. It is the best cruise missile, like one of the most fastest supersonic cruise missile in the world. Now BrahMos has all the three variants. It has sea, it has land, and it has air strike variants. Now, Philippines recently has asked for the sea-based variant and anti-ship variant missile, and BrahMos is the missile that was developed by India and Russia together. Okay, so Secretary of National Defense of Philippines, Delphin Lorenzana, has signed the notice for award for the purchase of the contract, for which is expected to be signed very soon. Negotiated with the government of India. It includes the delivery of 3 batteries, training for operators and maintainers, as well as necessary integrated logistic system (ILS) package. Conceptualized as early as 2017, the Office of President approved its inclusion in Horizon 2 priority project in 2020. The Coastal Defense Regiment of the Philippine Marine will be the primary employer of this modern strategic defense capability of armed forces of Philippines. There is interest in acquiring BrahMos missile from several countries, and negotiations are in advanced stage with Indonesia and Thailand. Discussions with Indonesia are in fairly advanced stage. So we are seeing that this export variant of BrahMos missile. So what is an export variant? All right. So for any kind of weapon technology, there are two basically kind of variant. So one is there is indigenous variant, that is uh, and another is export variant. Okay, now the indigenous variant is used for a country's for its own safeguarding. So this variant is the most powerful variant. Okay, which the country reserves it for itself. It does not export the technology to other country, whereas there is export variant which they export to the other country, which is also good, but then it is not as good as this one. Okay, so India's export variant of the BrahMos uh, supersonic cruise missile is going to be purchased by Philippines, Thailand, and you have Indonesia. So Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines, these three countries, we have the negotiations going on in very advanced stage. Philippines has already placed an order. Okay, so India is going to make a lot of revenue out of it. So let's hope that things go in good hands. So India will become a country that also expose the weapon technology to other countries. We also have the negotiation going on for Tejas aircraft and for the Rudra helicopter. So that is advanced combat helicopter. So that mm, these negotiations are also going on. So let's see what happens. Okay, the next news article that we have is China-Iran agreement. Now, China would begin implementing a strategic agreement with Iran, strengthening economic and political cooperation between two countries as Beijing blasted Washington's sanctions on Tehran. China and Iran signed the agreement last year after years of talks with wide-ranging partnership set to span areas including energy, security, infrastructure, and communications. The Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Iranian counterpart Hussein Amir Abdullahian announced the start of partnerships implementation at the meeting in East China's Wuxi. New details of secretive deal that has been published, but the New York Times reported in 2020 that it would secure a regular supply of oil for China. The China's Iran leading trade partner was one of the biggest buyer of country's oil before US President Donald Trump imposed sweeping unilateral sanctions in 2018. China has officially stopped importing oil from Iran, but analysts say that the Iranian crude is continuing to enter the country disguised as the import from other countries. Beijing has long sought to boost the ties with Tehran, with Chinese President Xi Jinping describing Iran as the China's major partner in the Middle East on a rare visit at the country in 2016. So our China's major partner, China's best friend, China's this, China's that, all these kind of title this person Xi Jinping has been giving to different countries. Uh, and they have been taking advantage of different countries. Now this Iran had spoiled its relation with USA when the sanctions were imposed on Iran, taking into perspective um, the technology, the weapon technology on which the Iran was working. Okay, now before the US sanction that was put, China and India were the two major trade partners of Iran's oil. Now India completely stopped the import of Iranian oil, but China continued for some more time. But later, when US again started to threaten China for the sanction, the Chinese also stopped importing of oil from Iran. But then they continued. It is said that the China continued to import oil from Iran through some different means, disguising it as if it is an export from other countries. So, for example, if suppose Iran has a oil, now if China gives money to Afghanistan, okay, I'll tell you this. Suppose Iran has oil, okay, Let's change the color. Okay, so let's suppose Iran has oil. Now Iran has oil, but you cannot trade with Iran. Okay. Now there is a country called Afghanistan. All right. Now there's a country called Afghanistan. There's a country called China. Now Afghanistan can trade with Iran. Why? Because it can trade. Why? Because Afghanistan is anyhow not a major trade partner with USA. Okay, it is not major trade partner with USA. If suppose this is not a major trade partner of USA, then in that case, Afghanistan does not worry about the sanction of USA. Okay, so sanctions will impact those who are having a very good trade relationship with USA, right? But if Afghanistan does not maintain a trade relationship, it can always import oil from Iran. Now, what China can do is China will say that, okay, Afghanistan, see, you're already importing oil from Iran and you do not care about US dollar business. Do one thing. I'll also give you $100 million. Take $100 million from me and buy oil from Iran, and then export the oil to me. So China will show on its data that we are exporting oil from Afghanistan, $100 billion worth oil from Afghanistan. But then this oil was brought from where? From Iran by Afghanistan. So this is the route what China used to follow earlier, and through which the import used to be done. Okay. So right now, so it's trying to boost its grip over the Iran. There are various reasons for that. First, Iran, the CPEC project is slowly failing. The China Pakistan Economic Corridor project is slowly failing because Pakistan is not paying its share of revenue which the China demanded, because of which the CPEC project has stopped, and there has been instances of various terrorist attacks taking place in the area of Balochistan. Okay, so there are various problems that's going on. Now the next country close to Pakistan having an access to the Arabian Sea or the Gulf of Aden is the Persian Gulf, is the Iran, and therefore China is again trying to establish a good relation with Iran in that matter. But India has already a good relation with Iran, and India has made the Chabahar port there in Iran. Now China therefore wants to spoil the relationship of India with Iran by providing it opportunities of good business or something with the help of money. Now definitely China has more money compared to India, and therefore what China do is China try to lure the other country with the help of money. Whereas what India does is India try to show its soft power. It tries to uh, it tries to strengthen the people to people relationship by telling them about the cultural ties that are present between the two countries. So we play on the soft power, whereas China plays on the money power. So this is what happens. Okay. Important information is about the Vienna talk. What is Vienna talk? So Wong and Mr. Amir Abdullahian's meeting comes as talk continue in Vienna over a potential deal to halt Tehran's development of nuclear weapons. So there's already a Vienna talks that's going on to halt the Iran to develop the nuclear weapons. At at this juncture of time, Wong and Mr. Amir Abdullahian meetings continues. Okay, in 2015, a 2015 deal agreed by Iran, USA, China, Russia, Britain, France, and Germany offered Tehran sanctions relief in exchange of curb on its nuclear program. But the US withdrew from the agreement in 2018, reimposing the biting sanctions and prompting Tehran to begin rolling back on the commitments. Okay, but USA pulled out from this deal and it said that no, you should stop it. we don't care. We will put sanction, complete stop the development of nuclear. Because see, USA knows that if Iran is developing nuclear weapon, for whom is it developing? It's developing for to use it against USA only, right? So doesn't matter if other countries are doing an agreement with it or whatever. USA said that we don't want it. That's it. Okay. Next is WTO verdict on sugar. India filed an appeal with the appellate body on the WTO, disputing a verdict by WTO's dispute settlement panel last month on sugar subsidies. The WTO's dispute settlement panel had ruled that India, by subsidizing the sugar producers, was breaking rules formed under the General Agreement on the Tariff and Trade (GATT), which governed the international trade. In 2019, Australia, Brazil, and Guatemala complained against India at WTO, arguing the subsidies offered by Indian government to sugar producers were against the rules governing the international trade. They argued that these subsidies, which include both domestic subsidies as well as the export subsidies, exceed the limits imposed by WTO trade rules. According to WTO rules, subsidies cannot exceed 10% of the total value of sugar production. These countries believe that the subsidies offered by India had led to increased production of sugar and caused the price of the sugar to drop significantly in the global market. Okay, so the subsidy that's given to the sugar producers in India is known as FRP. Okay, just like this is known as fair and remunerative price. Okay, uh, so the FRP is just like the MSPs, the minimum support price. Okay, so MSPs that we give to the farmers for various crops that they produce, the minimum support price. So FRP is the minimum support price for the sugarcane farmers. Okay, now of WTO, since there was an increase in the sugar production in India, okay, therefore the cases were filed in WTO against India that the sugar production had increased because India has given subsidy to its farmer. Now the subsidy that's allowed is, it's not like the subsidy, giving subsidy is not allowed. It is allowed, but it cannot exceed more than 10% of the total value of sugar production. But India, it says that has given more subsidy to the farmers. So that's why the case was filed, and India has appealed against it. Okay. So there has been a lot of problem going on in WTO. So recently government came up with the 3 farm laws, and with that lot of protest was going on in our country, and government pulled back, it called off, it called back the 3 farm laws that it had uh, uh, you know came out with. Now why were those farm law into place? The farm laws were into place because India has to comply with the rules that are set by World Trade Organization, because India is a part of WTO. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if suppose India does not comply with these rules, then there are sanctions that are put on India. There are trade regulations that are put on India. Okay, so India has to comply with these rules, and WTO does not allow countries to give a lot of subsidies to its farmer. So India has to come out with different kind of ways to help the farmers, to increase the farmers' income. Okay, MSP is not an option. It cannot always be done, because then we have to also look at how the world is dealing, and how the organizations like WTO, they influence the trade of India with the other countries. All right. Therefore, various thing has come up in India. You see that uh, the Kisan Samman Nidhi, the PM Kisan scheme that has come, where government is giving 6,000 rupees as the fixed income to all the farmers who has under 4 acres of land. Okay, so these kind of things that's going on in our country is actually a kind of subsidy that's given to the farmer, but in a different manner, like minimum salary, kind of minimum uh, kind of a minimum support given to them in terms of 6,000. So minimum income, it's kind of an income that's given to the farmers. So government is giving the money to the farmers, not in form of subsidy, but in some different form. All right, so like that, because India wants to help its farmer, but then there are world forces like the World Trade Organization that forces India to not to help the farmers, because this will impact the equality in trade in different countries. Okay, so that is why if government start uh, giving money to farmers, making something to produce very high, it's kind of a wrong, it's not a fair trade practice according to WTO. After 2 years, WTO ruled in December that India's sugar policy was favoring the domestic producer through the subsidies to the detriment of the foreign producers. The panel recommended that India withdraws its alleged prohibited subsidies under the production assistance, the buffer stock, and the marketing and transport scheme within 120 days from the adoption of this report. India has stated that WTO's dispute panel ruling has made certain erroneous finding about the domestic schemes to support the sugarcane producers and export, and finding of the panel are completely unacceptable to it. India is the second largest sugar producer in the world after Brazil. It is estimated that more than 5 crore people depend upon the cultivation of sugarcane alone for their livelihood. Okay, so this is another important information, ladies and gentlemen, that India is the second largest sugar producer in the world after Brazil. Remember this. Okay, the next we have is design linked incentive, DLI scheme for domestic semiconductor chip design. Now this with an overall vision to create a vibrant ecosystem for the semiconductor chip design in the country. The Ministry of Electronics and Information MITI is seeking applications from 100 domestic companies, startups, and MSMEs under its design linked incentive DLI schemes. The DLI scheme was announced by Ministry of Electronics and Information MITI as a part of 76,000 crore rupees or $10 billion package for the government announced in December 2021. Under it, financial incentives and design infrastructure support will be extended to the domestic companies, startup, MSME across various stages of development and deployment of semiconductors, designed for integrated circuit, chipsets, system on chips, and systems and IP cores, and semiconductor linked design for over a period of 5 years. The scheme aims to nurture at least 20 domestic companies involved in semiconductor design and facilitating them to achieve turnover more than 1,500 crore rupees in the next 5 years. CDAC, a Center for Development of Advanced Computing, a scientific society operating under MITI, will serve the nodal agency for implementation of DLI schemes. The scheme has 3 components: chip design infrastructure support, product design linked incentive, and the deployment linked incentive. So the DLI scheme has 3 major components: the chip design infrastructure support. So if there's any chip designing that's going on, so for its infrastructure support will be given. Now product design is linked incentive, and the third one is the deployment linked incentive. So chip design, product design, and deployment, these are the 3 parts in the DLI scheme. Okay, next article that we have is TRP, that is targeting rating point. So TRPs are the points that are given to various TV channels based on the viewership that they get. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry has asked the Broadcast Audience Research Council, BARC, BARC, to resume the release of TRP, also known as the target rating point data. It had been suspended in the late 2020 after the police unearthed a rating scandal, acting on complaint made by BARC. To begin with, BARC had asked to release data for the last 3 months in the monthly format for a fair and equitable representation of true trends. Meanwhile, the I&B Ministry, Information and Broadcast Ministry, constituted a committee under the Prasar Bharati Corporation CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempati to review the existing guidelines for TV rating and come out with recommendations. Why are ratings suspended? Acting on the complaint by BRC, the viewership measurement body for television and one of its contractor, Hansa Services Private Limited, the Mumbai police on October 8, 2020 said that it had busted a TRP racket run by 3 news channels who had been manipulating viewership rating by bribing the panel homes where measurement meter had been placed. Okay, so basically, how does this TRP thing work? Okay, now it is said for example, for checking the TRP. Now TRP is basically the see, it's kind of a rating that's given to television channels. Okay, in simple manner, let us understand. It's kind of a rating that's given to television channels. And who releases this rating? BARC. Okay, now BARC releases this rating. Now, what is the importance of this rating? Now, if suppose there is a news, if there is a news channel, for example, ABP News, there is Z News. Okay, there is the channel called Star Plus. Okay, and there is a channel called Star Sports. All right, suppose there are these 4 channels. Now, if it is found that ABP News, let's say Z News, if suppose Z News has very highest viewership, then in that case, all the private companies, if once the data is released, then all the private companies, okay, for example, Lux, you have MRF Tires, you have many other advertisement companies like Fair and Lovely. Okay, so all these companies, what they'll do, they'll go for showing their advertisement on Z News. Okay, and with this advertisement, Z News will earn more and more money, right? So all the news channels, they try to give the quality content so that their viewership will increase. Now this TRP rating will induce a kind of a competition. Okay, it will induce a kind of a competition so that any channel who gives more a better rating, all these companies will start coming and post ad on this particular company's news channel. All right, and therefore the TRP rating help these companies to earn a lot. Now, obviously, if Z News viewership rating is very high, then G News can charge, let for one ad, I will charge you 10,000 rupees. Okay, 10,000 rupees for one ad, which I'll show you for 5 minutes or for 30 seconds on my TV, on my channel. I'll charge you 10,000. Whereas ABP's news rating is less, so ABP will say that okay, I will, you can give me 8,000 rupees and I'll show you for 30 seconds. All right. So are you understanding? So obviously the company that has very high viewership will earn very high money. So basically that's how the TRP thing works. Now, how is this TRP thing rated? Is it like, how is the these channels viewership is recorded, the data is recorded. Now this data is recorded by BARC, where it secretly places the TRP meters, okay, TRP meter in some household, okay. So it doesn't tell that which household that has this kind of meter. You won't know. It might be that your house would be your house would be under a kind of the inspection in that time, but you won't know that okay, your house is being reviewed. Now do what happened during this scam is the houses that were under the review, those the information was leaked somehow from within the BRC, and those houses were bribed. Those houses were bribed. For example, those houses were asked that okay, for the next 2 months, your uh, your television is going to be rated. So what they did is they started the news channels, some news channels. Okay, like for example, you see here Hansa Services Private Limited. Uh, okay, this company, it went to this house and bribed the people that I'll pay you 5,000 rupees. Okay, you take 5,000 rupees from me and just watch my Hansa TV channels. Hansa TV channel. Just watch this channel as many times as you can. So they used to pay the 5,000 rupees to each house that was under the review, and the data was recorded. And therefore, the rating of Hansa television became very, very high. When the Hansa television's rating became high, suddenly there was a kind of thing that a particular house was not watching Hansa TV. Suddenly they started watching this Hansa TV. Okay, and Hansa TV's rating suddenly got high. So in this case, kind of a doubt was created in the mind, and then the investigation came out that there is a problem and Hansa Services has done something wrong here. So that was the thing which was going on. This is how the TRP thing works. Okay, so it is not the first time it has been reported that the ratings were rigged. In 2020, in 2002, 2003, former Director General of Doordarshan, S.Y. Qureshi, wondered how the national broadcasters with a news share of 92% did not figure the top TRP list brought by the Television Audience Management, TAM. Eventually, TAM board out, and BRC was founded in 2010 by Indian Broadcasting Foundation (IBF), the Advertising Agencies Association of India, and the Indian Society of Advertisers, representative of the media industry, with all its stakeholders. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have the daily quiz that's posted here on our website. Please attempt this quiz to check your to check how much did you learn from this, and the kind of questions that are asked from the daily quiz that are posted. So these were all the news articles that we had on our website today. Now, if you have any kind of doubts and queries, you can always put it in the comment box below. If you want to call us, please visit our website www.nationaldefenseinstitute.in and give us a call on the contact number, and we will attend your call and clear your doubts or queries, whatever you have. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll meet in the next session.